Right, so I'm delighted now to be joined virtually again by one of our fantastic corporate mentors and someone who has worked with the Scale program this year and in its previous iterations. Carol Ward, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Jack. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Listen, I suppose it'd be good to start maybe with you. I think a lot of people would be interested in the types of mentors that we get on the program and the types of people who become mentors. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your day-to-day work, and then we can move on to the mentorship program.
Sure, no problem at all. So I'm currently president of Man GLG. Man GLG is an investment firm, so we're a fund management business, really. And I'm involved in running certain aspects of the business. I actually started my career in technology, and that certainly has helped, with mentoring for this program. And then I spent many years in a COO role, and the COO role is quite generalist. You get access to many different aspects of running the business. And again, I think that's given me kind of a pretty good foundation for getting involved in the program.
Yeah, actually, so that's kind of a nice segue. I mean, obviously this program is aimed at tech-based companies, right? And you say your own background is in tech. What sort of challenges have you seen companies have to face as they go through this program? And bearing in mind, I suppose, that traditionally, it's been early stage companies that have done this. Obviously, in recent years, we have some more developed companies. But I suppose to all the other tech startups out there, perhaps looking at this and considering the UK market or joining a program like this, it'd be interesting to know from your perspective, what sort of challenges they face.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I've been involved in the program, I think 5 years now in total, and the challenges can be quite varied, to be honest, but there's definitely some common themes. I think one quite common theme is just getting the actual core value proposition right in the first place. So lots of companies come in thinking they've got a great core product, but it's not just about having a great core product. It's about making sure that that's what clients are looking for, how it compares to other competitor products on the market, how you think about positioning and pricing that product. And there's quite a lot there, actually, that we often touch on as part of the program. And then I think the other things that can be a pretty common challenge is it's a real stretch for the founders and founding team, I think, where they end up really being stretched beyond their core competence, trying to figure out how funding works, how marketing works, how sales works. And I think, for teams, where there's a really strong management team and ideally a really strong board, that can be of huge value. And then I think the other thing that we've seen is, if companies get those things right as core building blocks, then there often comes a point where they're trying to scale with limited resources. And that can be a real challenge as well, where you're at a key point, you're getting traction in the market, but you've got a pretty small team. And again, companies getting funding right, leveraging partners is really important. I think the program does a great job of trying to support companies with that.
Yeah, you've touched on something kind of interesting there. Do you think that your experience as a chief operating officer actually kind of helps in the mentoring process, where perhaps companies are on this scale-up journey and they actually need to get some operational stuff as well as all the business development and positioning and all that sort of thing?
Oh, look, definitely. I mean, I think that it's a real challenge for startups where, they know the product in particular, but I think often when you're trying to run the business, then it's really trying to figure out what are the different building blocks that need to be in place in order to support it. Again, how can you commercialize it? And certainly, I think COO roles come in different forms. I've been lucky enough that the role I've been doing is quite business focused and really, quite growth focused as well. So I've tried to take the lessons I've taken through my commercial experience or, my corporate experience and apply that to the program.
Yeah, so I guess another question that I might have for you is about the other mentors that you've worked with. What's your experience been of working with other mentors in the program?
I mean, great, I would say, to be honest. I think that one of the benefits of being a mentor in the program is that you get to meet a broad range of people. I think one of the benefits of the program as well is, people come with different skills and very complementary skills. And I think as a mentor, I certainly come knowing that I'm not an expert in everything. But I think what I have tried to do is kind of link in with yourself, Jack, and the resources that you have at Enterprise Ireland, and also the skills of some of the other mentors that we have in the program, in order to, you know, really give companies access to whatever expertise they need, depending on where they are in their own journey.
Yeah, and do you think you've learned as a mentor?
Look, definitely. I mean, look, I learn every year something new. It's part of one of the reasons why I've kept doing the program. Look, I think from my point of view, you know, it's been very interesting to see how many resources there are available actually to startups. You know, again, when you work in a corporate environment, you don't necessarily get exposed to all of that, but you know, there's obviously a huge amount of online resources. But if you look at the resources that you get through organizations like Enterprise Ireland, it's amazingly impressive, whether that's access to specific expertise or networks or funding, mentors, etc. You know, there really is a huge number of resources available, and that's been certainly something that I wasn't aware of before. I think I've also learned that it's hard. It's really hard to, you know, to take a startup and make it work. And, you know, I've seen lots of companies come through the program. Some work incredibly well, and you know, some, you know, take her along, and some don't work at all, I guess. And I think that, again, having a really core product, having a really great team, but also working really hard. I think it's very hard work for companies in order to ultimately make it a success. And then the other thing that's been, you know, great from my point of view, not a huge surprise, but definitely something that's been very clear through the program, is the amount of talent that there is in Ireland and coming out of Ireland. I've been in the UK now for 19 years, so it's a long time. And I've been involved in the program for 5 years. You know, my Irish roots are strong, and I've had great pleasure in working with companies and trying to help them, you know, get access to the UK market and scale in the UK market. But the quality of the companies that have come through the program has really, I think, improved year on year, and you know, long may that continue.
Yeah, that's great. You know, and I think we're lucky that that you keep coming back to help out our companies. Definitely. You don the green jersey well, as they say, and have gone above and beyond for lots of companies out there. So I know that I speak on behalf of everyone that you've worked with to say thank you. One final question from me, and it's around a message perhaps to other prospective mentors, people out there who are thinking of getting involved in mentorship or mentoring programs.
Sure. Yeah. Look, look, first of all, I think that I get something out of it. You know, I feel like every year I learn something from the program, and therefore, look, I think it's something I would encourage people to do. I think it's a great way to learn and meet people and open your eyes to new things. So I believe in constant learning, and this is definitely one source of that. I think that in terms of the things that I found have worked well as a mentor, you know, certainly putting structure around it helps. So we've always tried to start with kind of 3 to 4 core objectives at the start of the program. That gives us something to track as we go along, and then to keep us honest at the end to do a review against that. So that's always been really important. And then I think, you know, I've also found, you know, maintaining momentum. So, you know, the Enterprise Ireland program is over a pretty succinct period of time. So I've always found that, you know, doing short kind of weekly meetings, for example, is much more effective than doing pretty irregular long-term meetings, because people forget where they are between meeting up. And then the third piece is leverage resources, I would say. So, you know, we spoke about the fact that Enterprise Ireland has amazing resources. There's very complementary skills across other mentors. Really, I think that, you know, that's a huge resource pool. No mentor comes being an expert in everything. And therefore, if people are thinking of getting involved, don't be afraid that you don't tick all of the boxes, but do leverage the resources that are available.
Yeah, you've actually touched on something quite interesting there, which is around structure. And I think that in lots of different mentoring programs, there are different structures, and some are perhaps less structured than others. You've been involved with this program for 5 years. You've seen it go, I suppose, probably 5 different ways, almost 5 different ways in the sense from a structural point of view. What do you think works best? Do you think it's best to formalize the interactions between mentors and mentees, or do you think that should happen organically?
That's a good question, Jack. I think probably a little bit of both, actually. I think that there has to be, I think that it really helps with some structure at the start. I think that companies, the more, in my experience, the more the companies put into it, the more they get out of it. And I think that, frankly, over the years, I think Enterprise Ireland have done a very good job of kind of prepping the companies and knowing what they're getting themselves in for. Again, really thinking about what it is they want to get out of the program, so you can structure your objectives around that. But then from there, I think that it's kind of up to the mentors and the companies at that point to try and make it work. But I think having the core objectives piece is really important from my perspective, because if you don't have that, then how do you know you've done a good job at the end of it? So I think honestly a little bit of a mix of both is probably the right way after all of these years, I think, is what I would say.
Yeah, well, hopefully we have you for 5 more. Okay, Carol, look, I think that'll probably do it for now. Thanks again for your time, and we look forward to seeing you back on the program next year.
Thank you, Jack. It's been a pleasure.